First of all, guys, give a big warm welcome to Natasha. She has survived the White Lotus not one but 2 seasons and hasn't gotten killed. How does that feel?
I'm a cat. 9 lives, baby. I got 9 lives.
Oh my! So it'll go for 9 seasons, and you'll be in most of them.
I mean, Lord willing, in the creek don't work. I mean, I literally would do anything for Mike. So who knows?
Well, so can you bring us back to the beginning of before season 3, when Mike called you?
Yeah.
How did he tell you, "Hey, I want you back"? And was your first question, "Am I gonna die"?
It happened kind of in 2 parts. So, if you recall, in Hollywood, the Emmys for 2020 were actually held in 2021. And so Mike was shooting season 2, and he was coming back to LA for the Emmys, and he asked me out for dinner, which is not unusual. And so I was like, yeah, let's meet up. And we met, and he's just like, I know I'm in the middle of season 2, but I'm already thinking about season 3, and I might want to have Belinda back. What do you think? Like, would you be up for it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm a writer, and so I know nothing's real until you put pen to paper. And so I didn't want to hold him to that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let the universe decide, and hopefully it's in my favor. And then sure enough, he hit me up again after he wrapped season 2 and started working on season 3 in earnest. And he's like, Belinda's back. And I was like, let me just renew my passport, make sure my shit's in order.
And did you ask him, "Am I gonna die," or do you like to be surprised?
Well, I like to be surprised because also, even if I had died, I have never died on screen before. So the actor in me was like, yeah, I'd be up for that. I'd be up for that. So I didn't ask, and when I finally got the scripts, I got all 8 at once, and so I binge read them, and like in one sitting, and it just like page turned.
How many hours did that take you?
It wasn't that long, because I'm a pretty fast reader, but I just remember I FaceTimed Mike immediately after, and he was already in Thailand doing a scout, and I was like, you did the damn thing, man. Like, he is so good. And there's about 30 minutes of every episode on the cutting room floor. So there's stuff that I read that you guys didn't see that just, I mean, it's wild, like, it's wild shit.
You should release that in between seasons. So I have a question. What has Mike taught you? You know, he's such a unique individual, survivor contestant, about to be a survivor again. So what has he taught you, and what have you taught him?
Ooh, this is a great question. Mike, as a capital A artist, auteur, he fiercely protects the creative. And there's a confidence in that, and to see him, season 1, you know, it was a big swing for HBO, even though it was, you know, I think it was one of the first shows that tried to work during COVID. He took big swings, and he didn't apologize for it. And I think that there is a soupçon of privilege with that as a white male. But for me to see that, and just the unapologetic nature of how he moves with his art, it was a reminder for me, like, I need to move in rooms and spaces that way and not compromise my vision for anything. And I feel like what I taught him, that's a good question.
We can come back to it, too.
Yeah, we can
Let's come back
well,
to it.
I will say this. I think when Mike works, he's doing all the things. He's very, like, busy. And when I'm on set with him, it's one of the rare opportunities that I'm not wearing multiple hats. And so I can, like, be just deeply unserious around him. And I think that lets him lighten up, and we just dig each other's humor. So I think hopefully I've, like, reminded him to just, like, enjoy the process and not, like,
Okay, so Belinda's relationship with her son is one of the best parent-child relationships on television, because it's more like a friendship. Yeah. What was it like working with Nicholas? How did you guys kind of foster that relationship?
He's very symmetrical. He's very symmetrical.
Do you have a crush on your son?
He got a little Oedipal, you know, a little Oedipus Rex in the house. No. Oops.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, wasn't expecting Oedipus.
There we go. When I first met him, I had gotten to Thailand maybe 2 days before him, and he, when he came, you know, he told me he was coming in. I was like, let's meet up for dinner, and I'm like, a few years older than him. And so I was like, let's have an early dinner so you can go play with the kids after. And we ended up having like a 4-hour dinner. And he's just someone who he doesn't have to be as kind as he is because of the way he looks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certain...
I feel like it's the John Hamm effect.
Yeah.
You know what that is?
But for him to be so open and vulnerable, and we talked about we core wounds and triggers and crystals, like we talked about it all. And so that was the foundation for the connection. And I was fiercely protective of him on the set. As a young Black male in this industry, he had acted before, but not at this level. And there were things that I would notice that he'd miss, and I'm like, keep your eye out for this and that. And not that the production was, anything nefarious was going on, but I just wanted to make sure that he knows if there's any problem at all, he can come to me. So that mother-son friendship, that was just sort of like, we cultivated that over the 6 months.
You were like his bodyguard. I love that.
He's my Kevin Costner.
Yeah, with like a mild crush on him.
Yeah, mild crush, yeah.
So let's break down that scene where your son walks in on the two of you post-coital. Yes, I said that. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, like, the way he just was so sweet about it, he's like, do you need some extra time? I want you to know if that happened to me. And if it was like a parent or something, that's how I die.
Right.
My tombstone would say, killed by sex. So
we should all be so lucky.
I know, but that happened. How was that scene, and what was it like working with Dom?
Dom Hertkul, who played Porn Chai, is like low-key famous in Thailand, and so he would move on set, and the crew would be, bowing in deference, and it was like the first day we worked together, and I'm suspicious of everything, so I was clocking it out the gate, and I was just like, so tell me more about like your history and everything like that, and he's so unsuspecting, like he's just normal and present and very sweet, also very symmetrical. And
you sound like such an architect when you flirt.
I kind of am. No, but it was when Mike was just like, I read the scene and talking through. I was able to pitch certain moments with me and Dom, and Mike and I have that relationship because I'm a writer as well. And originally it was kind of written kind of less awkward, and I was just like, Mike, Belinda's been working a long time. She has not had a vacation. She's out, and the fact that she's even thinking about this, she's gonna have a little like wobbly legs when she tries to approach, romance, and because I'm very cool in real life. And so we were able to add that, and so I felt like in that scene, it just clicked, and he was so steady, and he allowed Belinda to be relaxed and clumsy, and he loved her for that. It was kind of beautiful in that way.
I'm a Belinda Chai fan. I really am. Wait, going back to the tombstone thing for a second, what would be written on your tombstone?
She did that shit. That shit. Not good or bad, who knows? But she did. I tried.
She did it.
Yeah, she did it.
I love it. Okay, so Belinda's love life obviously comes alive, and I love that they did that with you and bringing you back. Now,
and I will say, to have a plus size woman on screen and not being hypersexualized, but being an object of desire in an earnest way.
And not in a joking way. To me, and I said this to Mike, I was like, you don't even know how powerful this is for people who look like me to see themselves in these positions. Because then it's like you're able to sort of like forecast and sort of like project yourself onto that character. And the next time you're on vacation, someone gives you an eye, you might like entertain it. And it gives people hope in that way. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think it was really great. Well, so how did you and Dom, did you guys get to know each other, or did you just jump into on-screen bed first?
We didn't, well, luckily we shot a lot of our story before we had that scene. And yeah, we had lots of conversations, and his wife is incredible, and he has a kid, and met them a ton, and so it was just it was really sweet, and I don't know if I should say this, but whatever, I had a propranolol. So when we were doing the makeout before, the sex, the first take, he like pulled away and apologized and bowed. And I was just like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, have you done a intimate scene before? And by and large, he said, and obviously I don't know because I don't live there, he was just like, a lot of the TV is chased, so you don't really get to see, so he hasn't had a lot of on-screen experience, so he felt like if he enjoyed it or like, so he just kept saying sorry, and then after the third time, because I could hear Mike laughing in the village, I was like, you gotta stop saying sorry. I was like, you don't make me feel some type of way, you gotta stop saying sorry.
Did he bow to you each time?
Well, it was just like a hand together, so like, sorry. And
I sort of want that in my love life now.
If only men could be that respectful, always.
Let's roll it out.
Yeah.
A friend said to me recently, Belinda ended up doing to, I almost said Dom, to Porn Chai, what was done to her by Tanya. What did you think of that? Because like my heart was a little broken. She didn't choose him, but I did like she chose herself and money.
I deeply disagree with that comparison.
Wow.
I
didn't make it. It's deeply important,
but I've gotten into it on socials, not in a mean way, but just like, guys, dig deeper. Because for me, Tanya promised Belinda the world and didn't deliver and reneged on something that she said. And so there was a pact that was broken. Belinda never promised Porn Chai anything. She was just like, I'll see, let's think about it. Like, it was always just like, I'm entertaining it, but I'm not promising you anything. And then also what bumps me, I'm like, you guys want this woman to have another dependent? Like, she just got rich. Like, let her enjoy her life. Because there's something magical, I think, that happens with financial freedom. It allows you to entertain what could be, and you're not limited by circumstance. And so for her to have this money, and she can actually ask herself, what does she want? And those dreams of building, her own spa, she might come back to that. But she's never been able to entertain anything else. I do think her DNA is in service and in service of others, so that's a part of who she is. But I think she was just like, she owed nothing to Porn Chai. They fucked once.
It's true.
Like, come on.
But he bowed to you 3 times.
I know. He bowed to me 3 times and fucked me, and now he's my dependent. Yeah.
Fine. I still have hope for those 2 kids.
I think that here's what I love about his love for her. Belinda spent her career is taking care of other people. She's taking care of her son, and Porn Chai is uniquely like honed in on taking care of her. And I think that that's what lights her up inside, and that's why people see that like.
And to your point, I think Belinda now, because of the money, gets to think like a white person.
Yes.
And that's going to be really great for season 4, which you're coming back for, right?
I know. From your mouth to God's ears.
What romantic advice would you give Belinda?
I think for her, it will be very important to continue to stay true to herself. I think that her leaving without him was a big choice for her. Because I think that in her heart she would want to do that, and I don't think that it's lost on her that it echoes in some way what she went through with Tanya. And I think that, she can't betray herself. I think that's the thing, and she didn't betray herself this time, so I hope that's a theme in her romantic life.
So let's talk about the Greg of it all. That man is like a roach, right? He just keeps surviving.
He just keeps surviving.
Was any part of you sad that he didn't kill you? Like, I thought he was going to kill you. I really did.
I did. When I was reading, I was just like, oh, she's done for. No, John is he's antithetical to how he plays. He's the sweetest, softest, kindest man. But when he gets into character, like, I shiver because he's so, like, it's
chilling.
It's menacing, yeah. And so, part of me was just like, I would love Belinda to go toe-to-toe to him in earnest. That would be cool.
I feel like maybe with the money, she might change in this next few years.
Well, there's a line in season 3 that's pretty ominous. Belinda's just like, I need to get out of here. I want to be hard to find. And it's, I don't know, Karma or Greg or both might be searching for her.
Well,
and in my mind, I'm like, it's not going to be clean, but I also would love Belinda to break bad.
That would be amazing.
Just, go hard.
I have a question, though. Do you think Greg definitely killed Tanya? Like, do we know that?
I mean, not.
I heard someone say,
not explicitly, but implicitly. Like,
okay.
I think.
So, like, Tanya's not coming back. Let it go.
No, she did. But I did joke with Jennifer. I was just like, Her, like, because hotels are famously haunted, so wouldn't it be great, right?
I would love that.
If Tanya just...
Jennifer Coolidge as a ghost?
Yeah.
What is it like working with her, just flashing back to season 1 for a bit?
She is a vibe. She is a moment. She's like trying to catch smoke, you know? You just can't do it, but you love, you know, she's so wonderful. And I came up through comedy, and both of us were classically trained, and we both came up in comedy as well. And so as much as I was the straight man in the first season, to watch, you know, a comedic genius do her thing, it was just like, I had to keep reminding myself, like pinching myself, like, I can't believe that this is happening. I'm like, Stifler's mom is my, I'm massaging Stifler's mom.
Was it hard to get through scenes with her? Did she make people break a lot?
Not me.
She's like, I'm a professional.
I'm kind of, yeah, I'm medicated. No, but one time, the one moment that I almost like fell out of myself was when I'm singing the song as I'm massaging her, when she's echoing the wrong words. That was all improvised. And I was just like, I'm like not even looking at her face, like her chin. I was like, maybe that'll help if I just don't see her face. And she almost really got me with that one.
What was your favorite scene to do this season?
When my favorite moment was with me and Nicholas, bless you. We don't have to pretend that there wasn't a sneeze.
Yeah, there was a sneeze.
You're like, oh my God, she acknowledged the sneeze.
I know. It's allergy season.
I know.
It's not easy for him.
When me and Nicholas are with Greg and I stand up and storm out, partly because it was that scene came about as a conversation for me and Mike. When I originally read it, it was written where it was just Nicholas. He took charge, and Belinda was like in the background watching her son sort of step into this like manly sort of like protective role. And the way Mike and I work, whenever he gets the chance, we sit down with the script and we go scene through scene, and I'm pitching ideas and, you know, different dialogue, that type of stuff. And when we got to that one, I was like, Mike, I really want to see Belinda have agency over the choice. I want to see how she can have a hand in it to show that she's complicit and culpable for the consequences of this, not just her son. And he's like, oh yeah, let me noodle on that. I think that's a great idea. And he came back with that moment. And it's just so fun to watch her turn. And yeah, I just loved all of it.
Okay, since Mike is returning to Survivor,
Yes.
I thought we could do a little White Lotus Survivor with your castmates.
Okay.
Don't be nervous. You ready?
All right.
Okay. So Mike
water.
was in season 37, which was in 2018. David and Goliath, and he is coming back for the 50th anniversary. And if I recall, he came in second originally, which means he's like scrappy.
He's very good.
He's really scrappy.
He's a smart man.
So, okay, I'm going to give you your Survivor Island, and you tell me who in the cast would survive in these pairs, okay? Or these.
Okay.
Jennifer Coolidge, you, and Patrick.
Who would survive?
Yeah, who would be the survivor?
I would survive. Patrick would thrive. Do you know what I mean? He would thrive.
I feel like he'd be wearing some great outfits on that.
Yeah, he would just, and he's just like very strong, like and protective and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think Coolidge she would not make it.
She would die again on screen.
I think she would die again. She would just be like, I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Dom, Lisa, who we love, Walton, and Mike White.
Mike. All day.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike's going to survive. I feel like Walton would, like, they'd be like, where'd he go? And he's like, in a tree.
Okay.
You know? Like, he's very, like, he would protect himself. He's a triple Scorpio, so he would figure out how to sneak and do something.
He's just going to be in a tree.
Yeah, he's just going to be hiding and wait it out.
Okay, Nicholas, Jason, Isaacs, and Amy Lou.
Ooh, who would survive? Nicholas.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think so.
He's got youth on his side.
And symmetrical.
He's very yeah. Symmetry
Yeah.
It matters in the jungle.
And who in the whole cast would be the ultimate survivor, not including Mike? That's cheating.
In the whole cast, real talk, Carrie Coon.
Really?
Yes. She is like, she's built for when all of this goes to shit. Like, she was washing her own clothes, like, out of buckets. Like, she's like compost. Like, she's just like, she could handle anything. Yeah. I would trust her. Yeah, I would be like, yeah, in the great war that will inevitably happen, I want her on my side.
You're behind her. I thought you said Harry Coon, and for half a second I was like, what character was that?
Harry Coon.
I was like, Harry Coon.
No.
Okay. Every single cast member I've seen so far seems to have a Parker Posey impersonation. I'm just wondering, do you have any impersonations, and have you ever said Piper no?
Here's the thing.
No pressure.
I know. I've been asked this before, and I have such deference for who she is that, like, I don't even want to touch it. I was like, I don't want to touch it. I need like a shot to do my Jennifer like my Coolidge is like fun.
Can we see it? Are you medicated?
I'm not.
You said that.
I am. No, but I think that like what both of them share, it's like this ineffable quality of just someone who's like, who gives zero shits about what you think about them, who gives so much to their character, and who live life and fearlessly as much as they do in character. And Parker is just walking whimsy. And yeah, they're definitely, the Venn diagram of them two like quite overlaps.
Maybe at the end she'll do.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. Okay, let's say season 4 happens, you're in it, that's, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. If you had to pick a location for season 4 to be in, what country would you like to go to?
Any country on the continent of Africa. Particularly Morocco and Egypt. I think there could be really interesting conversations about race and class, and I think so much of what Mike White does, he plays with that conversation, and so I think to be on the continent with such, a charged exploration of race, I think could be really, really cool.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
You get to pick a dream cast. Do you have any ideas who you'd want on that island with you?
Top. Jennifer Lewis is like, she in my mind like is on the same street as Coolidge and Parker in terms of that fearlessness and just icon. Who else?
For Belinda.
Ooh,
I thought
Michael B. What? Sorry, I didn't. I thought that's what you were saying. Michael B. Jordan. I heard Michael B. and I was like, okay.
Michael B. Jordan?
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about him. But.
So in Sinners, there are 2 of him.
I mean, that's what. Listen,
it's him twice.
When I say I want a pair of Jordans, that's what I mean. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Yeah.
You just made up for not doing the Parker Posey impersonation. I would like to see you with Pedro Pascal, Martha Stewart, and Austin Butler.
Oh,
that's what I want.
Yeah, that would be fun. That ticks a lot of the the boxes.
So, is there a funny kind of behind the scenes story? I know it's always hard to think back that you haven't shared before from season 3 that you wouldn't mind sharing with us.
Ooh.
And you can think about it, and I can move on if you want.
I haven't shared this. I gave myself pretty serious ice burns from sticking ice packs up my Spanx because it was so hot. And who taught me that? Parker. Parker's like, Natasha, put it up here. Because you heard her in there. But she's so, Thailand is just like unbearably hot. Yeah. And so much of what you saw that was outside, we're actually outside in like soup, basically. Tom yum soup is like all around us. And we're not meant to be like dripping wet. And so I stuck these ice packs.
You froze your...
And I had to go to the Thai hospital. That was fun.
For a frozen White Lotus.
Yeah, and a frozen White Lotus. And then it was just like being there. And the doctor spoke English and she just kept repeating, you did this. Like, I was like...
Well, technically Parker did, and it was a perfect time for you to say, Parker, no.
I know. I know.
Next time. Okay, did you see Arnold Schwarzenegger and Patrick had their actors on actors?
Yeah.
And Arnold said, he goes, watching it, I saw your weenie.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Did I miss an episode? Like, did he show his weenie?
Yeah, there's a little bit of ween, but I was more concerned that he used the word weenie as a grown man.
Yeah.
But no, it was super cute to see them together.
Yeah, I was uncomfortable by that. Okay, so what does White Lotus teach us about privilege?
I got all of that.
Do you like how I'm like, ha ha ha, privilege?
I know.
Break it down.
Do the Parker boys. So fix race relations in America. No, I think for me, there is this examination of how money doesn't solve character defect. And I think so much of what we see of the characters that are in the White Lotus, minus the staff, truly, there's that demarcation. They're desperately running from themselves, but they meet themselves at the resort. And I think they learn their relationship to wealth and money and status, because you see so much this season, especially where they want to go and party with the locals. They're trying to connect to an environment because they want to be, they consider themselves being reflected by them, but they aren't. There's this distance, and they don't understand that they're responsible for that distance. And I think Thailand was particularly, it made that point, I think, very acute. I didn't know this before going, but Thailand has never been to war, and they have never been colonized. And they call it the land of smiles. And so you're in a country where literally, and I felt this, I remember talking to my hairstylist there, Derek, who's black, and a month in, and we were just like, there's something here that feels like it's healing me just by being here. And then I talked to one of the Thai crew, Fern, and she was just like, she told me this, I was like, that's it. I'm moving around in a space that is not recovering from historical trauma. And so then you have all of these Americans, expats in this country, trying to cosplay that they're like a part of it, and it's just like, no, this is the antithesis of who you are. Yeah. So I think that's the genius of what Mike did by setting this season, particularly in Thailand.
Wow, you really answered that.
I really did.
I want to talk a little bit about your amazing comedy, How to Die Alone.
Oh, yes.
That you created last year. It aired last year. And I just want to know, are you looking for a new home for it?
So for those of you that don't know, it got one season only. I'm in great company. My So-Called Life also went through that. One of my favorite shows. And for a while, I was taking it around and trying to find another home. And the market in Hollywood right now is just probably the most tumultuous, I think, since I've been there. You have the studio and networks, combining, and like Disney fired 430 employees yesterday. Like, there's so much. It's chaotic, and so there was a hesitancy, I think, to bite off a show that was like female, black-led, also that had like a lot of surrealism, and it's very music heavy, and no one's trying to take a bet these days. They're trying to play very safe, and by Hollywood standards, it's not often led or fronted by someone that looks like me. And so for me, I didn't want to, I went through all of the major platforms. I could have pivoted and tried some smaller ones, but for me, I loved it so much as it is, and I didn't want to, compromise. And yeah, I'm glad it exists. That's the main thing.
I know, and My So-Called Life, I love that comparison.
Yeah.
Do you think that shows that have non-white casts are given less of a chance in Hollywood? I know that sounds like a
No, I mean, it's statistically proven. It is much more difficult. But what's so interesting, I think, that the way the black sort of mafia that I hang around with, we're not deterred. I think, like, if you think of like the golden years of black television, you're talking about like Sister Sister and Hanging with Mr. Cooper and Family Matters, and there's so much, but I know, right? That was born out of those black creators not paying attention to what those statistics said, creating in spite of. And I think that there's a defiance in the work that's being created now by black artists that gives me hope. It's not, I'm not wringing my hands and, being like, why won't they like me? They never liked me. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the fact. And so, like, being able to create from that place where I'm not hung up on what can't happen, I'm focused on what I can do, and trying to use, do what I can, if I can, when I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natasha, that's such a great answer. So recently you said you are childless by choice, child-free and happy. Yeah. And you said this great thing. I just need to read it so I don't mess it up. Someone said, why do you enjoy it? And you said, I'm doing what I want, when I want, whatever I want.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind me asking, had you always felt that way? Did you develop into that like later in life? Like, where did it come from?
I've never wanted kids. And I thought I kept, older, lady adults would be like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You're gonna wake up one day and be like, I want one of them. And turns out I wanted 2 dogs. But I definitely, for me, it's not a choice made to make a point. It's just authentic to me. And I think it doesn't make me any less of a woman to not have kids. And, so many people are like, oh, well, it was your career or kids and you chose. No, there was no either or for me. I just know for me, that's not what is authentically a part of my story. Yeah. And I get to do a lot.
What are you doing?
I made choices, honey. Yeah. I made choices.
What are you doing that you love right now?
Literally anything I want. Like, I put a Lego set together the other day. I took 2 edibles and let it ride. Yeah. Like, it was great.
What I love about that is, like, if you were a mother, you'd have to do that Lego set just without edibles.
Oh, see, yeah. They're choices, right? Yeah, they're choices.
All right, so the great part is we are at the Q&A section.
Yay!
Woo woo. So who's brave enough? The guy who sneezed. So, go. Okay, I have to repeat the question.
Oh, okay, right.
Oh, shit. Talk to me about your writing, and how do you bring that into your work as an actor?
Yeah. I started writing actually in high school. I've always done theater. I'm one of those like actors that didn't find it after studying accounting. Like, I've been acting and like performing my whole life. And it was a reaction because we were doing monologues in class, and I was like, if I see Raisin in the Sun one more fucking time, all respect to Lorraine Hansberry, but like, I was just like, I asked the teacher, I was like, can I write something for myself? And I did, and I performed it, and I realized there's so much power in the pen. And I kind of like kept doing that, where I was just like sneakily writing on the side. But I also came up at a time where it wasn't really multi-hyphenates, so I had to pick a lane. And I picked acting because I loved that, but that writing thing had always stuck with me. And then when I was living in New York, I was here for about 8 years, and I started doing like storytelling and, writing character pieces, and it caught the eye of Saturday Night Live, and I ended up 2 years after they asked me to submit a tape, and I ended up auditioning for them and then got on there as a writer. And that was my first kind of like real TV writing job where I felt I could call myself a writer. And I feel, regrettably, I wish I'd called myself a writer, but I sort of gave away that power to Lauren. And after that, I worked for Insecure and for 5 seasons as a writer, hired first as a writer, then they asked me to be in the cast halfway through that writer's room, and then started developing and wrote some films and sold those, and none of which saw the light of day, but I was making a name for myself in Hollywood that I was going to be one of those multi-hyphenates. And how it affects me when I write and act for myself, improv is a huge tool that I use to write, and it's also a huge tool that I use when I'm acting, and so therein lies the overlap. So being able to think about what the character would say before the line that's scripted happens. And it's not necessarily writing pen to paper, but I script it in my mind to be able to approach that line with a runway instead of just jumping in cold, and it adds that kind of conversational improv moment with the other actor beforehand.
That's great. Anyone else? Don't be shy. Hang.
So speaking of Insecure, there was such a diversity of women, and just showing women as black women as not one-dimensional or monolith. Can you talk more about how, as being part of the writer's room, you put together such a variety of casting, how perspectives change over time, and how you guys interact with each other?
How did you? Why am I so bad at this? I promise I have good listening skills sometimes. How did you ensure that Insecure had diversity in front of the camera and behind the camera, and how did that impact your process?
Yeah, Issa was just, her vision was so clear from the beginning that she was deeply disinterested in making black culture palatable to white audiences. She was like, we're gonna be real and authentic and just as varied as the black culture is in Leimert Park in LA. She wanted to reflect that, and had to go to bat a lot with the studio that, like, no, if audiences don't understand what the WAP is, they can Google it. In the same way, I had to Google what there's not Afi Coleman. Yeah, because I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I was watching, I was like, I gotta figure it out for myself. And you know what I mean? And so, like, we can encourage audiences to, like, be smart, and I so respect her for that. And in terms of, like, the reflection of the cast, I think that's also a part of Issa's vision of the show. It's just, like, she's so deeply regular in real life, and it's so, I mean, she's a gorgeous, famous, like, but she's just a regular person, and her friendships in her real life are diverse. And so I do think she just pulls from that organic space, and she just deeply loves the culture and wanted to reflect it in a way that was true for her. Yeah.
I love that she's like, I'm not going to white-splain things. Like,
Yeah.
everyone has Google now.
Yeah.
There's no excuse, really.
Yeah, and I think that, like, for me, there is something pretty special about specificity in television. The more specific something is, I think more people can relate, because there's kind of a universal truth at play. And so she really played with that and, like, told very specific stories that everyone could relate to. And I get approached by Insecure by all walks of life. And I think that's just a testament to her vision.
Most of the DMs I got when our event was first announced was about Insecure. They're like, are you going to talk to her about Insecure? I was like, or White Lotus.
Or White Lotus.
Yes.
Or both. I love it. I love it.
Did we answer your question? Okay.
Yeah.
What other aspects of privilege would you like to see explored in season 4 that you think would be interesting for this anthology?
Okay. What other aspects of privilege would you like to see explored in season 4?
Oh, that's a good question. I think there's so many aspects to it. It's like
so hard.
Yeah, it's like a 12-sided die. I think that, like, for me, there's something very interesting to me about what Mike hit on season 1, and that's white allyship, and how that can sometimes be perceived by the Tanya in the situation as, like, I'm a co-conspirator, I'm helping this brown person with their dreams. But there's a lack of, like, understanding of how you are culpable for that person's position in some way. And so I think there could be really interesting conversations about how hard it is to thread that needle of, like, genuine wanting to help someone, but also being aware of your biases at the same time. Yeah, so I think that, to me, could be really interesting. Because I have a very diverse friend group. My best friend in the whole world is, like, 60 inches white and from the Bay. But she and I, like, it's a wonderful sort of exchange of genuine empathy and understanding and ownership. And so I think to see that display, because I do think the 3 girls this season, that friendship was, like, caught on like wildfire. So I think, a diverse friend group could be even more kind of fiery.
I love that. I'm looking forward to that. I think we have time for one more. Yes.
Ooh.
On Insecure, if there are any decisions made about Kelly that you disagreed with, how did you deal with that?
I'm going to see if I'm going to answer this. There's one, actually, that I can think of. And I made a concerted effort, to be fair, in the writer's room. I dissociated as an actor and was a writer. I oftentimes wouldn't pitch for my own character because I didn't want it to be perceived as like me trying to like get more stage time. When I was writing, and I wanted to do what's helpful for the story. And the story we were telling was the love story between Issa and Molly. And so when this particular storyline came into play, I was like, how do I navigate that? Because I was just like, I don't think this is how it should go. And the storyline is the season 5 storyline in which Kelly gets pregnant. And I wanted a character, and this is kind of like, the Venn diagram of myself and Kelly, of just like, she can just be the child-free one. Like, so many of the girlfriends in the group were making such traditional choices. And I thought it could be cool to have someone who's just like, she's so sex positive, she's fucking, she's loving, she's got her bank on lock, she's got her job on lock, and that to be sort of like an example of that. And so when it was pitched that she was going to have a baby, I remember in the writer's room, I was like, okay, I've sat back a long time, but I really think this is important, and had conversations and tried to pitch alternatives. I even wanted, this is very real, I pitched her getting an abortion and making it, like, not making a story point of it. It's healthcare. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that could be really powerful. But she's like, bitch, you want to kill a baby? I'm like, no. I was like, no. I was just like, we can still, like, I was trying to meet her halfway, but she had a very specific vision. And it wasn't anything where, like, there was a blow up in that's not how I move, and that's not how she moves. We're just both passionate artists and creators. And, having worked with her for so long, she knows my heart. And then I was like, all right, I guess I'm pregnant, bitch. All right. So we ended it with that.
You're like, Kelly can build a Lego set and
I know.
eat edibles.
Eat edibles, build a Lego set. But yeah, that was one where I was just like, oh. But also, I would get this a lot. Audiences would message us about Insecure and be like, well, that's not my Black experience. And my response always was like, then pick up a pen and write it. Do you know what I mean? That means that you're being called to tell the story that you're seeking. And that's what I did. I went and wrote my own show where I had a woman, didn't have any kids, had a lot of problems, had other shit, but I was able to diversify the landscape.
I'm laughing
Black
because
storytelling.
in the pilot episode, her character is literally eating Chinese food and her alone at home, and a cabinet falls on her, and that's how she dies.
Yeah.
Almost.
That happened in real life. I didn't die, but I definitely hit myself in the head with IKEA furniture. And I was like, choices have been made. Don't know if I should have been making them.
Natasha, I can't wait to see Belinda's World with money in season 4. And does anyone have one last question? No pressure. Okay.
Love it.
This is fantastic. I can't wait to see. I hope you end up on Survivor too.
I will be watching at home.
She's like, no.
Yeah, I'm going to be enjoying my mortgage with my dogs and watching Mike eat something gross.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, give a nice round of applause for Natasha.
Thank you guys so much for coming.